Stop focusing on big wins. And what I mean by that is, listen, we all want to be rich. We'd all want to have a nice house that's paid for, our dream car, more family time, well, full family time. So many things, and that's our dream. That's what we want. That's what we desire. And that's what we're chasing towards. And goals like that just, from a base level is just nearly impossible just to obtain just by having that thought. Like, if you have $30,000 of debt and your goal is strictly, I just need to pay off $30,000 of debt with no game plan, you just want to, shoot for the moon, you just want it done. That's not the best way to go about it. It's not the best way to go about anything in this world. You need to break stuff down into meaningful steps that seem more obtainable, because it's the small wins that keep you going to ultimately try and make it to your end goal. If you're a football player, you're not trying to throw the perfect spiral to the back corner of the end zone on your first try. You're working on getting your mechanics going. Then you're working on, can I spiral the ball? I'm going to put it together, and I can throw it 5 yards down the field, and I'm going to try and throw it 15 yards down the field. Then I'm going to try to throw it accurately 15 yards down the field, and et cetera, and et cetera. With your debt, that's why they say the best way to do it is a debt snowball. You pay off your little wins. If you're in debt and you have a $500 credit card, a $1,000 credit card, a $5,000 credit card, looking at 3 credit cards is what you're going to mentally do. You're not going to look at, well, this one's, this one's in the middle, this is a big. You look at, even if the card had $20 on it, it would still be a card to you. So that's why you have to focus on little steps, baby steps, and grow. Because honestly, if your only goal is just the end goal, you're going to find yourself struggling about quarter of the way, halfway, if you even make it that far. But, if you're like, I had $30,000 in debt, but my goal, by the end of the year, I want to cut it in half. Not even. I want to cut it in, a quarter. I had say 40,000 of debt. I want to cut it in a quarter. Guess what? I want to focus on 10K a year. Hey, listen, maybe that's even crazy. How about we focus on 5? Let's do little wins. And it's no different with life. You're never just gonna make it right to that end goal. On YouTube, we can all dream of having 1 million subscribers. And guess what? I'd be blessed to hope that lots of you guys could ever make it to that point. But guess what? That's not the realistic goal. And at the same time, then most people be like, well, 1,000 subscribers, that's where I get monetized. That's the only goal I'm going to focus on. And that's not the right mindset to have. You need to have a smart game plan broken down into steps. Got to work on making sure your YouTube channel looks and feels the way that you'd be happy with first. And then you work on making content, and you try and focus on making it the best content you can. And guess what? Your first goal is going to be, 10 subscribers. And then after that, it's going to be 50 subscribers, then 100, then 1,000. But even then, you don't want to ever cut off your momentum, because if I'm only going into it to be a big YouTuber and, 3 months in, hey, I'm still not a big YouTuber. Even if I have 5,000 subscribers, in my head, I'm not even close. But you have to be realistic with your goals. You need to think big, but take small steps, small meaningful steps that you put your whole effort into. And that's just everything with life. Just break things down into manageable increments. Don't overwhelm yourself, but everything's on the table. Like I said, baby steps. When you have a child, do they come right out running around? No. They have baby steps. You learn to hold your head up. You learn to be able to sit up. You learn to be able to kind of roll over a little bit. You learn to crawl. Then you learn to walk. Then you learn to run. If your first goal is just to learn how to run, guess what? You're going to defeat yourself. You're not going to be able to run. You can't walk. You can't crawl. You can't keep your head up. And that's where you are right now with your YouTube journey. You can barely keep your head up. And you want to be running a marathon. You can't do that. Baby steps. You got to move. You got to grow. with manageable steps. And that's how, again, that's everything with life. So remember, smart baby steps to grow, and that's how we're gonna do it. That's how we're gonna grow. Have an awesome day, guys, and stay blessed. Peace.